Alright, so in this video, we're going to learn how to use the discriminant. Now, what do we use the discriminant for? Well, we use it to find out how many solutions we would get if we were to solve a quadratic equation without solving it. Alright, so if we get a positive answer, then we would have two real solutions. If we get 0, one solution, shouldn't be an S there. And if we get a negative discriminant, it would be no real solutions. And so without even solving a quadratic equation, we could use the formula b squared minus 4ac to see how many solutions we would get. All right, so let's try these three. All right, so I'm going to label it just like I would if I were using a quadratic formula, a, b, and c. And my coefficient here is 1. I'm going to use -4 for b and 3 for c. Plugging it in, b squared is -4 squared. Write it a little smaller here. Minus 4 times a. A is 1 and c is 3. Remember, if you don't see a number in front of your variable there, there's an understood 1. So now I just simplify. -4 squared is 16. -4 times 1 is -4. -4 times 3 is a -12. 16 minus 12 is 4. 4 is positive. So since I get a positive discriminant, if I were to solve this quadratic equation, I would get two real solutions. All right. Let's try the next one. Again, labeling A, B, and C. Remember, your A is the coefficient in front of your x squared term. B is the number in front of your x term. And C is your constant or the number without a variable. So plugging it in, B squared, 2 squared, minus 4 times A. That's 1 again. And C is also 1. 2 squared is 4. -4 times 1 is just -4. So I'm going to put a -4. And 4 minus 4 is 0. So my discriminant for this quadratic equation is 0. So if I were to solve it, I will get one real solution. All right. Last one here. Again, A, B, and C. B squared, that's going to be -2 squared. Minus 4 times A. A is 1. C is 2. -2 squared is 4. -4 times 1 is -4. And -4 times 2 is a -8. So that would be -8. 4 minus 8 is -4. So we get a negative discriminant. So that means that if I were to solve this quadratic equation, I would not get any real solutions. All right. So in these three examples, 4, 0, and -4 are my discriminant. And these numbers tell me how many solutions I would get if I were to solve these equations. So now think about it. Look at the formula here. Does it look familiar? All right, if it does, that is because that is the part that is under the radical in the quadratic formula. All right, so if you think about if that is under the radical, if you get a positive number under your radical, or under your square root sign, right, or your root would be 4, or the square root of 4, as an example, would be plus or minus 2, because positive 2 squared is 4, and -2 to the second power is also 4. So the square root of a positive number actually gives you two real solutions. What about the square root of 0? 0 is not positive or negative, so the square root of 0 is simply 0. You will get one answer. What about the square root of a -4? Well, you cannot take the square root of a negative number and get a real solution. There's nothing you can multiply times itself to get a negative number, right? So that would be no real solution. So if you think about it in that terms, as far as how to remember two real solutions, one real solution, and no solution, think about the fact that this is under the radical, and think about how the discriminant applies here. All right. So hopefully you understand how to use the discriminant to figure out if you're going to have two solutions, one solution, or no real solution in a quadratic equation.